Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Hello, hello, how do you do? We are the boys in white and blue, and we're back with another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
I'm William Silver.
Yes, Will is back on the show. What we're going to do, I think, this season is we're going to have a few talking heads, co-hosts coming in and out over the course of the year in the show. We've got a couple of people lined up, and just to get some fresh ideas, some fresh opinions into everything. Will, you are a season ticket holder with the Whitecaps this season, and the new package that went out this week as well for season ticket holders, very impressive. What you and a number of season ticket holders have been calling for a long time.
I'm still waiting for mine.
Oh.
We'll see if it actually comes. I might be on the naughty list. I don't know. I'm just joking. No, the
ones that I've seen from other people like Chris Ogg looked fantastic.
Yes, yeah, and to be fair, all kidding aside, Christian Ogg's last name does start with an A, and my last name does start with an S.
Oh,
so
true.
Maybe it just is going to take a little bit longer. So that's okay. But no, I think we had gotten to the point as supporters, as fans, where we had gotten used to envelope and a letter. So having a box is quite exciting, and I think it really shows that the club is maybe changing under Axel Schuster, and that's a really great sign to see.
Yeah. It's only taken them to have another local football club.
Oh, they could be that into it as well. Well, pressure's on Vancouver FC now, Zach.
Well, I mean, there's no pressure on Vancouver FC in the one sense.
Oh, there is from me now. Yeah, I'm putting all the pressure on them.
Yeah,
they need to give a free jersey away, like a lot of the other expansion teams have done.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know that they're doing that. I'm pretty sure they're not, because they would have said that, I'm sure, if they were already.
Could be a surprise.
Yeah, it could actually, because we know the kid doesn't come out until the end of March. So
yeah.
Hey, TSS Rovers gave me a jersey the first year, and I did have to pay $250 for a $100 ticket, but I still got that jersey.
I'm still waiting for mine to come through from them. They promised me last season, one of the new black ones, but we'll maybe come at TSS in a little bit.
But seriously, the Whitecaps have upped their game because there's local competition. Like that's they can say anything to the contrary, but that is a factor. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going all out. I too saw Christian's picture, which looked really nice. What was in there? A scarf, a hat?
It's a little bit sad actually that not everyone got it at the same time, because like if you didn't know that was coming and you opened it, the surprise is fantastic. But now folk have seen it, so it's spoiled that unboxing for them. But yeah, I mean, scarf.
I'll still take it.
The only bad thing in it was this tickets to go and watch the Whitecaps, but.
Why are you so negative about the Whitecaps?
Hey, I'm looking forward to this season, as we will hear when we're doing our predictions for the season.
I'm just going to say, Zach knows this. I used to beg for season ticket holder scarves, and ones that were actually mailed to me. So thank you. That's all I got to say. Whether it's too little, too late, or it's because of other things that are going on, at least they're trying now, so that's a nice thing.
Yeah. But this is our MLS season preview show, and over the course of this episode, we'll be looking at how the Whitecaps are shaping up heading into their season opener at home to Real Salt Lake on Saturday evening. We'll hear from head coach Vanni Sartini, sporting director Axel Schuster ahead of the new campaign. We'll also hear a bit from new goalkeeper Yohei Takaoka, make some predictions, get some thoughts on the new Whitecaps strip, and look at some of the best and the worst of the kit designs from around the league that were announced this week as well. We'll get into all of that shortly. Want to start, though, with the continuing story that we've talked about in the last couple of episodes. Just want to say rest in peace to Christian Atsu, who was confirmed dead this weekend, aged just 31. The Ghanaian. Yeah, I mean, he'd returned to Ghana this evening, his body and stuff, but it's just heartbreaking stuff. His wife and children were at the Newcastle game at the weekend, and they got a huge ovation and minutes applause and stuff. It's just really sad stuff, but at least they've got the closure now. It wasn't looking good, but you always had that hope. But they've got that closure, and just, heartbreaking. Our thoughts at AFTN go out to his family, his friends, his loved ones, his teammates, just everyone that cared about him.
Yeah, totally, just tragic and sad. I got the update from like Sam's social media, right? That's where I forgot to message you when I saw it, Michael. I was like, oh, I wonder if Michael's seen this already. But condolences to his family and to his teammates, and that, I mean, when I saw it on Sam's feed, it was in conjunction with multiple announcements of people who have been confirmed to have passed away because of the earthquake. And it's like more and more these waves of
it's over 45,000 or something now, because initial reports were it could reach maybe 20, and it's like we've more than doubled that. It's just it's heartbreaking seeing the scenes there. Tragic. And for Sam as well, like he'd spoke when he did that thing with Canada Soccer. Christian Atsu was one of the players that had come to his house that night after the game. So like just hours before it, he was just in Sam's house. Terrible.
And I will echo both of your sentiments that, my heart goes out to the family and to all of Turkey. And but I am a Newcastle supporter, and I was getting several updates all throughout the week with, because it kind of went back and forth a few times. So as someone who played 75 games for my club, it's very heartbreaking, and it was very touching on the weekend. And you could genuinely tell how much it meant to his family and to the supporters.
It's so hard to see those scenes, but R.I.P. Christian Atsu. And as always, no easy transition from that. I'll bring the mood up a little bit by mentioning my last trip to the Hot Chocolate Festival. We're not doing an official Hot Chocolate Boy this week because we've got a lot to get through. But I just want to... Also, the festival's finished, so no one can go there now. But I just want to give a public service announcement. Next year, when the Hot Chocolate Festival's on, if you decide that for your special Valentine's Day treat for your loved one, you're going to take her to a fancy French patisserie to get their hot chocolate at the festival, maybe find out the price before you go in and order the drink. That's a lovely, delicious dark hot chocolate from Faubourg in Kerrisdale. Came with 3 small French patisserie treats as well. How much do you think the 2 of those drinks cost us?
$50.
Oh, no.
$25.
No. $37.80.
Oh.
I'd ordered. They were getting the stuff. They were handing it over. Caitlin was like paying. I glanced down and saw the thing that she was about to tap, and I was like, "Oh, have you given them a tip?" And she's like, "No." I was like, "That's the price of them."
So how much did you tip on top of that, Mike?
Nothing. That's the Scottishness in me. All they did was hand me a hot chocolate. They don't need a tip for that. It was delicious, I will say that. But it was our most expensive hot chocolate that we had for the whole time. But yeah, looking forward to next year already. That's all I can say about that.
You're saving up for next year already.
I am. But let's get into the football chat now. So the 2023 Major League Soccer season is less than a week away. Anticipation is high for the new campaign here at AFTN Towers, and we're particularly buoyed by what's been a pretty damn good pre-season for the Whitecaps. They wrapped up their time in Palm Springs with a very good, very solid 2-0 win over Minnesota United. Both goals coming in the second half. The first a Julian Gressel volley and the second a Ryan Gauld rocket from the edge of the box. New keeper Yohei Takaoka, more on him in part 2, played his first game in a Whitecaps jersey, kept a clean sheet, didn't seem to have an awful lot to do from what we saw in the 2 minutes highlights that were shown, but for what we did see and what he did deal with, he seemed to handle it with ease, and great to have that in his first performance in the blue and white. That win gave the Whitecaps an unbeaten 3 wins from their 6 matches down in California. 5 of those games were against MLS opposition, the other against USL Championship side Las Vegas Lights. All of that, of course, going with their 2 narrow defeats to European competition over in Spain in January. We'll get our thoughts on how the pre-season's gone, how we feel that the team is looking as they're heading into the 2023 season. But before we get to that, let's hear some thoughts from the gaffer himself, Vanni Sartini, just chatting about the pre-season and how ready he feels the Whitecaps are for what is going to be a very gruelling 2023. Here's the gaffer. Are you just itching to get back home? Has it been a long time away?
Yes, we are. I think we all are. We are happy that it's the final 3 days. We've been lucky here. It was fantastic. Everything, we worked a lot, but now we are really craving for some Vancouver rain, I would say, even too.
It's dry today. It's not too bad. So, new season fast approaching. How ready do you feel this team is for this season to come?
I think we are on the right path. I think we're good. Of course, it's always hard to rate yourself because you don't know how ready are the other teams. But if our let's say measuring stick, it's how ready we were last year, we're much in a better place, and so I'm confident. I'm happy. I think we have a good team. So yeah.
So it's been a good time down in Palm Springs. The time of us doing this, unbeaten. Hopefully by the time you come home, still unbeaten. What have you liked from what you've seen from the group down in California, and what is it that you feel you're needing to maybe just tweak a little bit when you get back to Vancouver?
What we are all trying to, what I like that everyone is really, really, really into what we want to do tactically, and everyone is, I would say, working very well, trying to do what we're trying to achieve as a team. And specifically, I think the defending part, the off the ball, both the pressure and when we have to defend low, has been really, really good. We need to be better in timing and kind of decision making when we have the ball. Some games or some part of the games were a little bit too sloppy in that, but that's what we need to do better in order to be 100% ready for the game against Salt Lake.
You've had a look at a lot of the teams down there, obviously not all of your opposition, but what are you expecting from the Western Conference this season? Obviously there were some big teams that didn't make it to the playoffs last year. There's been a few teams that's made some real big moves in the off-season, both on and off the pitch. How do you see the West kind of shaking out?
Well, I think that it's going to be hard as usual. I agree with you. I think that some teams they didn't make the playoff last year, but they went on the market even before the end of last season. I have Kansas City in mind, for example, and Portland too. The thing that I expect is going to be really, really, really tight. The only team that, at least for the starting 11, they lost a couple of players. Maybe they don't have an enormous depth, but as a starting 11, I think LAFC is still the best team. And but I think any other position is even the first one, of course. But if it on the paper, I think any other position is up for grab, and it's going to be very tight between 8-9 teams, and I include ourselves there too.
So, Vanni, if you look at the strengthening of the team, I think defensively it certainly looks like it's a lot better than it was. Scoring goals this year, I mean, let's just say, for example, we signed a Venezuelan guy to be the striker, just plucking that out of the air.
For the sake of it, yeah.
Yeah. How do you see the goals this year? Do you see like your main strikers being the guys that you're going to rely on? Is it going to be scoring by committee kind of thing? How much is Ryan Gauld going to be a key to all of this?
You know how much I love the fact that the team is the leader, the way of play is the leader, and we tackled this kind of issue because we need to be better in the offensively, like that we done last year, from a team perspective. That's the reason why we're trying to change the kind of the way of playing, having one more player joining the attack when we attack, and of course the strikers are going to have more responsibility in kind of the final third. But the more the merrier. I think in MLS it's really hard to have a striker that he goes on double digits, so more than 20 goals. But ideally we will have contribution from the strikers, but also contribution from the number 8s. I hope that it's gonna be better than last year. So we are working more on the sense of a team way than from, we have a guy that he has the responsibility to score 30 goals.
You made a couple of changes to you made one change to your coaching staff. Ricardo's gone to WFC2 and Flo's in as one of the assistants.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're losing a lot of experience from the league with Ricardo, but you're adding a guy that's got great playing experience, albeit not great coaching experience. Did you think at any point of adding maybe, say, an older, more experienced player or coach into your coaching team?
Yeah, we thought about it. We are always thinking about what we need or what our need, and to be honest, we thought about it a lot even when we started the season, because Flo was with us at the beginning, and but we didn't know. Again, it was his first time on coaching, and he actually surprised us on how can we rely on him also in giving some part of the training session or some players sometimes. So that's the reason why he was promoted in this role that is officially assistant coach of the first team. At the same time, I am of the opinion that more people doesn't actually always mean better process. So I think that we're talking really philosophically now. We are going to an hyper-specialized world, while I'm thinking that people should have a wider range and know a little bit of everything. So I give you an example. I'm not a great fan, or you are the set plays coach, you are the defending coach, you are attacking coach, you are the throwing coach, and whatever. But I'm more by the fact that we all work and everyone needs to know everything about the team, and so we are kind of interchangeable with some area of focus. So, for example, when it goes to individual player, Mike has more focus on midfielders and striker, and Flo has more focus on the defenders. But I don't think that adding just people around us, it would be making the process better.
We all know about the slow start last year, so there's no point going over old things again. This year, you've got your first 3 MLS games at home. How important do you feel that's maybe going to be to getting off to a quicker start, and especially with Real Esteli then coming up as the 4th game of the season?
Yes, it's no secret that we need busy plays. We need our stadium. We need our fans, because they are really last year, even if it was a half and half year, we had, I think, the 5th record in the league for at home. We need to keep the same pace, and without our fans and without being in Vancouver, it's impossible for us. It's like you mentioned the Champions League. I don't know if the final was in Toronto, if we would have been in the Champions League, to be honest. And so it's it make us playing better, being at the stadium. So we need to exploit the fact that 3 out of the first 4 games are at home in order to try to make good results, because establishing yourself from the beginning, it gives you also a different perspective on how do you go on the road and try to make points.
Well, it's a good job this year's Canadian Championship final is going to be at BC Place again as well then.
Yeah, we have to win away first, so we'll see. Yeah, there we go.
That's fine. That's taken care of. Cheers, Vanni.
Cheers.
He's the gaffer. You can try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all. He's the gaffer.
So some good thoughts from Vanni there heading into the new season. And I should note as well that that little chat with him was recorded before the Takaoka signing was announced. And at the time of recording this on Sunday evening, we are still waiting for the Cordova signing to be announced. But Vanni had a lot of good quips during that, where he was... At one point, he had said, I saw this Japanese and Venezuelan guy in the hotel, and I thought, maybe we could add them to the team. So he's joking about it. So everyone knows the signings are coming.
Yeah.
They've just been obviously slow to get them announced. It was said that the Cordova signing's basically going to be getting announced this long weekend. So it's getting announced on Family Day, a new addition to the Whitecaps family, which would be nice. But we'll unpack some of what Vanni said there, and obviously Zach and me have given our thoughts a lot, so we'll get some of yours, Will, just on the season to come. So Vanni says that he feels that right now they're on the right path. And despite seeing a lot of the teams down in California, as he rightly notes, it's hard to glean too much from pre-season. You don't really know where everyone's at. You're also not having a full look at all the teams, and some teams are playing mixed squads, and one team for one half of games, one team for another half of games. Mm. But I mean, it's hard to disagree, though, Will, that they are in a much better place than they were this time last year in terms of pre-season preparation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one that didn't love we got a new player. We got Schaff in camp and stuff like that. It's like, well, we had him last year. But it is true that we have these things a little bit more settled, and we have some of these pieces in place. I feel much better about the goalkeeper. I feel much better about the back line. And I think that was secretly the problem. Maybe not secretly to us, but the thing that often doesn't get the attention is defense, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't have a striker that's producing, then that tends to grab more of the headlines than a back line that is perforating goals, right? So
but also at the same time, if you don't have a striker that's producing, it's putting a lot more pressure on your back line to not give up those goals.
It's true. So I think we are in a better position. I've been thinking about this because I've kind of been a broken record, and I've said this, I think I said this last year about this time when I was on the show, is one of the things that I feel like with the MLS is that because it's a summer league, and stop me if I'm wrong here, that we're at the whim of other windows because other seasons are in full swing. And so I feel like sometimes we're always waiting till the end, and maybe not as much this year, but in the past, we've been waiting to see what would happen or how players sort themselves out or whether people come on loan or what have you. And it does feel like there's less of that this season than there has been.
I mean, like it or not, MLS is sometimes a secondary option for some players. Like if they're in Europe, they want to stay in Europe. Now, not all. For some, MLS is their destination of choice. Like Ryan Gauld had options to go elsewhere in Europe. He chose MLS. But for some players that are in Europe just now, they want to stay in Europe. Obviously, the European transfer window then doesn't close to the end of January, and then ours starts as that one closes. So there are going to be players that are like, well, let me see what I can get here first. And if I can't get anything, then we'll talk. And I think that from looking around the league, I think there's a few teams that are waiting just now to make these additions now that they can, because maybe the guys that they're looking at haven't got the deals in Europe that they're wanting. There's also clubs that might be fighting relegation and they don't want to let a guy go now because it's key, and if they let him go, they could be going down. So it's a whole different dynamic as well in other parts of the world, whereas we don't have that, the pro relegation stuff and stuff here as well. But I mean, the team, they've made these little tweaks. It's not been a lot of additions. How are you feeling about that? So, I mean, really, if you look at the guys that's come in, we've added Laborda in the defence and Karifa Yao as well, that Vanni speaks very, very highly of. You've got Cordova, we can basically say, we know, is coming up front. So, I mean, you've got those guys that's come in. You've got a new goalkeeper in Takaoka, and we'll delve a lot more into him as well as we go through the show. But there hasn't been like a slew of these new additions. Were you expecting more? Are you happy with what the club have done?
I'm very happy that they've gone out and got a keeper. I know some have commented on how short he is, that he's the second shortest keeper in the MLS. I think there are some good keepers who are short. They're probably still my height or tall. So,
I mean, if they're agile and they can get to the top corners, who cares?
And it can be a lot of positioning. I'm also, I'm just going to, we'll talk more about it in a sec, but I'm a Newcastle United supporter, and I'm not sure if you had the opportunity or missed opportunity to watch the game on the weekend.
I haven't, but I am excited about your keeper being sent off.
Yeah, that was not great.
Well, it is, because your fourth string keeper is Jude Smith, who Newcastle signed from East Fife.
Oh, wow. So he might be...
he's played in the cup run. So we're hopeful he's going to get the nod for the cup final.
Yeah, well, let's see. Dubravka might actually.
I know. I think he's probably going to be the one to get it. We're hopeful. Like, we've been talking to Jude's dad because we're still friends with him, and so we're all rooting for him. If nothing else, he's going to be on the bench, which is a tremendous experience for a guy that started the season in Scottish League 2. Yeah,
well, that is definitely a feather in the cap. I would say, though, watching our big lanky Pope, like a injured gazelle, go down and try to head the ball and then awkwardly hand it and then get thrown off. So maybe height isn't always the best thing. Sometimes positioning and choosing when to go out and that kind of thing is more important than just being tall. So we'll see. I like the additions to the back line. I kind of wanted more from a striker, but I mean, again, we've also got to understand that there's a budget and we're trying to balance everything. So realistically, we've got a better midfield than we have in years.
Yes.
So I think, if you're going to go and get a $5 million or $10 million striker, you're not going to be able to afford in internal budgets or salary caps, and all the complicated buy downs and TAMs, GAMs, thank you, ma'ams. So there is a balancing act there, and you wish that they spend a little bit more on a DP striker, but there's also a real world of having to pay all these people. So yeah, I mean, I would have liked a little bit more of a more money in the bank striker, but Cordova has shown glimpses, and
he's got that MLS experience.
He does have
so he knows
MLS
the league, he
experience.
knows the different environments, and I think that's a big boon. And for him last year to get 11 goals over the MLS season, including the postseason, it was his best ever season as a striker.
Yeah.
So this league clearly suits his style. We've got the players that can set those chances up for him. So, I mean, you have to then think that he could be on for a double-digit season. Is that what you feel we need? Does he need to have a double-digit season?
For me, I think you do. I mean, I often think, yes, you need goals from all over the pitch, but sometimes I was worried when our center backs had almost as many goals as our striker. That's not always a positive. It's nice to have some goals from wingers and even from defenders, but when your strikers who are paid to score and assist are not getting either of those, or most of them are from penalty kicks, then they're not quite doing their job. And Cavallini showed brief signs of excellence, and definitely he has quality, but to your point, Michael, maybe he just never gelled in the MLS. It was
the
just
league
different.
Doesn't suit him well. It doesn't play football the way it's meant to be played, not like Liga MX. That's how football needs to be played. Lots of aggression. You can kick whoever you want down there. It's fine.
Yeah,
Stamp
I
on
didn't love
anyone's
her
throat.
anyways.
It's okay.
She dumped me. I didn't love her anyways. It was.
I mean, down in Palm Springs, they scored 9. They conceded just 3. Had 3 clean sheets. So 7 different scorers down there. Christian Dahomey led the way on 3. If you factor in the 1 goal that he also got in Marbella, 4 goals altogether over this pre-season, which is great to see. It seems that they're going for team goals. And like Vanni spoke there, that he's all about the team as opposed to individuals. Sure. And he said, yeah, you'd love to have double-digit strikers, but the high double-digit strikers, they're an elite group. You've got your Driussis, you've got Velas, you've got these guys that are going to perform at that. I think Vanni right now would bite your hand off for a 10 to 15 goal season from Cordova, and I think I certainly would as well, to be honest. But he's also expecting more contributions from the 8s this year. He's wanting them to get assists, more goals themselves. The plan is he needs, and this was the plan last year, which didn't work, but it feels a lot better, and that it's working so far from what we've seen in pre-season, that they want to get an extra player into the attack, overload that attack, get that extra man up there, and really get the 8s involved. So I think we're going to see a lot from Vite this year if Gressel plays the 8 role that he's talked about. Get Gauld in there as well. These are the key guys to the success. Whether they're scoring themselves or they're putting it on a plate for Cordova, I'm quite positive that we can get this attack going.
Yeah, and I love the idea of that, and I'm not against, like you said, the 8 or the wingers or the midfielders scoring goals, but I do still think that the strikers should be scoring at least 8 to 12 goals. Yeah. I mean, 12 is on the high end, but yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of what we should be expecting.
Looking at that then, no goals for Brian White in pre-season. How concerning is that?
I think it is a little bit concerning. I mean, there often is, if you go back all the way to Octavio Rivero, a bit of a bounce when people come into a new situation or are playing in a new way, or in the case of MLS, maybe playing teams that they don't usually play as often. where maybe you get a bit of a bounce. Also, the year that wasn't that the one of the COVID shortened seasons that we don't talk about when he really had his good start in the Caps and playing with Gauld, and Gauld was kind of new on the team. So I think, yeah, you would definitely hope that he would be able to adapt a little bit more to what some other teams are doing now that they maybe have seen a bit of his game.
I feel he's going to be the second choice striker after Cordova, but because we're playing in so many competitions, he's certainly going to get his chances, but he has to start scoring. He has to get that. He knows that himself. And I think he is a player that the confidence, like most strikers, if you're banging the goals and the confidence is there and he looks a different player. So maybe he's just needing to get that breakthrough. So, I mean, that's all looking positive. As you've said, the midfield's looking better than it has in many a season. And defensively, like you, I like the additions that they've done. I think they're looking good back there. 3 clean sheets down in Palm Springs. Vanni's liked the tracking back that he's seen to help out the back four. He feels that everyone's on the same page and they're doing what they need to do as a team. Do you like the fact that it looks like they have switched to the back four now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard enough times you guys talking about the man marking versus zone marking, and part of that also comes with having 4 at the back and not having to worry about people, covering different positions and things like that. Of course, it helps having Kubis back there, and I think that definitely helps. But I feel better about a back 4 myself. I'm not a big fan of the back 3. I feel like that was all the rage maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and those days are kind of past. I think also you need very particular players to play that position or that system, and that takes time. And I know Vanni tried to push through last year, but it just wasn't clicking.
I mean, but you think we'll be finished, and we had some disasters defensively last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too bad. So, I mean, the key things taken forward into this week, they're back in Vancouver, they're back on the training pitch on Tuesday. He still wants them to work on their timing and decision-making when on the ball, but that's going to come. It's still early days, and you still haven't got what you would see as the best starting 11 together. And we've talked in the show, we've joked in the show as well, that there's like 16 to 20, 22 players that Vanni considers as starters. But if we're looking just going into this RSL game, the home opener, the season opener, what formation, first of all, would you be expecting to see this team going with?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's probably going to be, a 4-3-2-1, like a Christmas tree, is probably where we're looking at, especially if we have Cordova and we really want to get Gauld and Vitae into the mix. I think that's probably the most likely. I feel better about that than the way we started last year.
So what's your ideal starting 11 then for this game on Saturday? Now, Cordova, he's been training with the team down in Palm Springs, but he obviously has not played any games. And I would say, because some stuff you haven't heard, all the chats that we've had this week, it does kind of sound like he wouldn't be good to go for RSL, at least as a starter, and you could see him coming off the bench. So I'll give you that as a precursor. I don't think Cordova will start this game against RSL. Now, he might.
Yeah.
So what would be your 11? So let's start in goals. And as I said, we'll talk about our new keeper in the next part. But do you throw Takaoka in right away?
Yeah, go for it. I say
think that run
season
out that he got on Saturday was just to like wet his head, and it's like, you're good to go now.
Yeah, no, I totally think throw him in there. And then think in the back line, we'd be looking at Ranko, Laborada, Blackman, and Martins.
That's probably the 4 I think I would be going with as well. I think we're going to be in full agreement here, because I also think 4-3-2-1. So, I mean, the middle of our 3, we're obviously looking at Kubis.
Yes.
Who have you
And
got
then
either side of him?
I think Gressel on the right and Schaff on the left.
I'm torn between Schoff and Raposo.
Mm.
That's the thing. But, I mean, if you're picking your strongest one, Schoff would probably be the guy that I think you would want to see in there. We just haven't seen enough of him to really know. But
I always like Raposo off the bench, to be quite honest with you. It's a lot of speed in the second half. And I think if you have someone maybe who's gassing in the midfield, that's a really good way of adding a little bit more punch in the second half. Maybe a Robbo 60-minute sub, somewhere in there, or MDS 60-minute sub, somewhere in there. I say Schaff, but I hear what you're saying on Raposo. He's had really great stretches, but
yeah, I do like him off the bench as well. And the 2-1, I think we're probably going to be in agreement here as well. It's Gold, Vitae, and by default, White, I guess, leading the line.
Yeah. I think you got to go with White. I mean, you could do some funny stuff if you really wanted to, mix it up. But I think that's probably the most realistic. I know that there was, they were playing people around and had Dahomey start up front on one game. But I think that's probably...
Do you know, actually... I'm going to take that back. I can't believe I've forgotten. Yeah, no, Dahomey was who I had penciled in. It wasn't White.
Yeah.
It was Dahomey I've got to start.
And I mean, White's sort of, that's more of his natural position, but they were trying Dahomey out there. Didn't he score 3 goals? 3
in Palm Springs, 1 in Marbella. So, no, it was Dahomey. I should have written this down, but no, Dahomey's the person that I had up front. So
I got that from you, Michael.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts for the starting 11 for the RSL game. The other thing as well is obviously RSL know very well about Cordova, so that might be a game that you don't want to throw him in because they know his weaknesses apart from anything else. But let us know if you agree with that starting 11. And in Twitter, AFTN Canada, let us know your thoughts on that as well. And won't have very long to wait as well to find out what that first starting 11 of the season will be. I think we all expect that Yohei Takaoka is going to be the man between the sticks. He was officially announced on Friday. We're going to hear from him and the thoughts of Axel Schuster as to why they've made him a Whitecap after this.
Hi, my name is Carifayaro from the Vancouver Whitecaps and you're listening AFTN.
Madam, you see before you stand. Hey, ho, never be still. The old original favourite grand. Grasshoppers, green Herbarian band. And the tune they play is an Askin Pie. So a trip to Ivanhoe, up, down, to and fro. You have no word. Please leave us here.
Optimistic shining feet.
The mad cat laughed at the man on the border.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, I've gone back to something which we were doing a little while back. I was really enjoying doing it, and then stopped doing it for a bit, but always planned to bring it back at some point. And that was 3 of a Kind, where we start off parts 2, 3 and 4 with songs that are somehow linked. And your task, as you listen to the show, is to try and work out what the link is. And if you can try and guess what songs we might come up to fit that link, all the very better. So we're kicking things off in this part with a song from 1969 by Syd Barrett, former founder member of Pink Floyd. That is his first solo single after he left the band, well, after he was kicked out of the band. Went to number 11 in the UK charts, appeared on his debut album the following year, The Madcap Laughs, and the song was originally going to get called The Madcap Laughs, but in the end they settled for the name Octopus. A great song, a big fan of Syd Barrett's songs. I'm surprised we've never made him Artist of the Month actually before. Some great stuff from him. What could the links to the songs be that we're going to be playing though to kick off parts 2, 3 and 4? I think you'll work out the links pretty quickly when you hear the one that's kicking off part 3, but then see if you can work out the song that's going to kick off part 4. But that was Octopus there. And you don't really hear about octopuses in football anymore since sadly Paul the Octopus passed away. Paul, of course, rose to prominence for his football predictions during the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Sadly, passed away a few months later, aged just 2, on the 26th of October 2010. Sad times. I did actually watch a documentary this week that mentioned that octopus's kind of lifespan is a year, so I guess he did get double that, but he'll always be remembered for those football predicting skills. I think that really is kind of the only octopus that can link with football. But imagine if an octopus was a goalkeeper. You'd have arms, legs everywhere, stopping all the shots coming at them. I'm sure that's something that Vanni Sartini would love to have in the Whitecaps. For now, though, he's got to make do with the new goalkeeper that he's got, because finally the Whitecaps announced the signing of Japanese goalkeeper Yohei Takaoka. He was announced on Friday. The 26-year-old, he will be 27 next month, signed from J1 League side Yokohama Marinos. Takaoka has agreed to a contract with the Whitecaps through 2024. There's a club option for 2025. Signed via the use of targeted allocation money. He'll occupy an international roster spot, obviously, and hopefully they can get him into action real soon, pending receipt, of course, of his international transfer certificate and work permit. Takaoka won the 2022 J1 League Championship with Yokohama. He was named to the league's best 11 side. In all competitions at professional club level, he's made 183 appearances, kept 59 clean sheets. Seems to be a fantastic addition. We've chatted a little bit about him on the show before. We got a chance to chat with him on a media call on Friday afternoon after the announcement. So I'll bring you that now. Some questions from myself, JJ Adams and Gemma from Canadian Press. Here's the Whitecaps' new man between the sticks, Yohei Takaoka. So, Yohei, welcome to Vancouver, even though you are not here yet. What was it about coming to Major League Soccer that made you feel that this was the right next step for your career?
I think it's going to be a good challenge for me. So this is the first time to play out of Japan. So I feel last year I want to improve as a goalkeeper, as a person. And I need a new challenge. And that's why I'm here. The Vancouver gave me a good offer with passion. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Yeah.
How much have you seen of the league? How familiar are you with the kind of stadiums and atmospheres that you're now going to experience?
Yeah, I saw a lot of matches in MLS, and the atmosphere was good, and the crowd and the players is amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm so excited to play MLS. Yeah.
How has your introduction to the team been, and have you had a chance to get any training sessions in?
Yeah. I joined training a few days ago, and yeah, training is good for me, and a lot of things to learn from the Vanni and the Josef, and they give me a lot, and yeah, that makes me get better as a goalkeeper. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Has Vanni tried his Japanese on you yet?
Yeah, Vanni speaks Japanese well, and yeah, he's good. He's good Japanese. Yeah.
Excellent. And what are your thoughts? You said this is your first time out of the J League, coming to MLS, a totally different league. Is there any pressure for you with that move?
Yeah, I feel a little bit of pressure, but I have the responsibility to. I think I'm the first Japanese goalkeeper came here in MLS. I have to show how Japanese goalkeeper good, and yeah, I want to make the wave to other Japanese goalkeeper, and yeah, I want to show my value in MLS.
I'm wondering if you can talk about any differences you think you'll face in the MLS versus J1.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I think the difference is the J League is more possession. The key possession is the most important things, but MLS is more directly to go to attack. Yeah, I think it's this is a most different things. Yeah.
How do you adapt your game to that change in pace?
I need to adapt new style as soon as possible, a little by little, like day by day. I feel, I mean, I can adjust. Yeah, you know, it's gonna be okay, and I want to show my skill, ability as a goalkeeper. Yeah.
How much do you know about Vancouver as a city? There's a big Japanese population here. There's a lot of Japanese restaurants. There's a lot of sushi places in Vancouver. Have you kind of been doing your homework? Have you spoken to anybody that is over here that you might know?
I have never been to Canada and Vancouver, so yeah, but I got information from all the people, and there are a lot of Japanese restaurants and Japanese community as well. Yeah, that's gonna be good for me, and the city. The Vancouver city is amazing. Everyone said me. Yeah, I'm so excited to live there.
Takaoka, excited to be here in Major League Soccer, excited to be signing for the Whitecaps. As we talked about before, he's making this move for the next stage of his career because he wants to try and break into the Japanese national team. Feels a move to a high-profile league like Major League Soccer, moving away from Japan for the first time, is maybe going to give him that opportunity. But of course, a big question everyone now has is, what does this mean for the goalkeeping situation at the Whitecaps for 2023 and maybe beyond? Well, Axel Schuster spoke to media on Friday as well. We'll hear a bit more from Axel in the next part. But I'm going to play the part just now where he's talking about the signing of Takaoka. JJ Adams asking the questions. Here's what Axel had to say about his new stopper.
I wanted to ask you about your goalkeepers. You guys wanted to go out and get an experienced goalkeeper to add to the mix. You had one last year in Cody Cropper, but he's no longer with the team. What is it about the current goalkeepers that you had in Thomas and Isaac that you wanted to upgrade on?
Yeah, experience is not only meant as age. So you can be a 34-year-old goalkeeper and you have not a lot of experience in the game. You have not played a lot of games on the highest competitive level. I think what I also said, and that's far more important, we want to get more security regarding consistency on that goalkeeper position. I think all our young Canadian goalkeepers, and we have played a lot. We have even played Max Anker for one game. So all of them have shown flashes of their quality. They have shown that they are on the right way to become good MLS goalkeepers, or to become, I would say, the clear number one in an MLS team. But we had not consistency in their performance, and that is a normal thing for a young goalkeeper and an unexperienced goalkeeper, somebody who hasn't played that many games. Also, over the last years, even our young goalkeepers could play a lot of games in academy or youth competitions because they were paused for 2 years. So we wanted to go for somebody who has played consistently on the highest level, who has competed for championships, who has won something. All of that is coming with Yohei. And at the same time, somebody who can help the other guys that we have in the group to learn from him and to grow. And we hope to play a lot of games this season. And that also gives the chance to give some games to the Canadian young goalkeeper that is the most ready. But we will go into the season, obviously, with a new number one and somebody where we expect that he will be more consistent in his top performance.
So Yohei is the presumed number one then?
Yes.
Okay. What was it about him? Vanni said yesterday he was top of his list of players he'd like to come in. How did he get on your guys' radar? And what was it about him that you liked? Because he's not exactly a traditional goalkeeper frame in the world of North American soccer.
As I said, first of all, he was elected as the best goalkeeper in the J League last year. And the J League is also a league that has a high competitive level and has good quality. So that actually makes him very attractive, or brought him onto our radar. So at the same time, we learned about him that he played for a team that competed for a championship. So a player that also comes with a different set of a different mindset, that we also want to get into this group, that we want to win something. That we have players on the pitch that have this confidence and also this character to say we want to win something this year. Said that on top of that, obviously we have scouted him and he has a lot of very, very good skills. He's probably on the ball one of the best goalkeepers I have seen in a long time. So he will help us also in possession and build up, because he is a player that can be used almost like a field player. He is very quick in his movements. He's very can jump very high. He reads the game well, and he has also I would say a good leadership character, somebody who has a personality, who is confident in what he's doing. So all of that is what we were looking for, and that's the reason why we at the end decided to go for him.
So Axel, confirming that Takaoka is going to be the number one, Will, said that all of the young Canadians have shown flashes of quality, but not the consistency needed in their performances to say that they're a number one keeper in MLS. Takaoka will come in as someone who's won trophies, has experience, and can share his knowledge to bring the young ones through. Are you surprised in any way that Axel just come out and said, here now, Takaoka's the number one?
No, I think that's what they got him for.
I think we all expected he would be, but
yeah, we all expected. I think there was a little bit of question out there. I know I saw in the Twitterverse, Glass City and some other people, I think I saw on Facebook on some of the groups that I'm on, people questioning why he said Canadians and not Hassel specifically. If you want to read something more into that, meaning Hassel doesn't necessarily have the second job, maybe it's Bomer. But
I have to say,
I think
I
that
read
could
into
just
that.
be. Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I read that.
There's no guarantees.
No, I mean, he basically said, he did not come out and say Thomas Hassal's the number two. He said, with so many games, it'll give the chance to the Canadian keeper who is the most ready. Now, I like Max Anchor is pretty much going to get his time with WFC2 this year. That's where he's going to get his minutes. So it's a battle just now between Hassal and Bomer for the number two spot. But the fact that he didn't come out and say Hassal, the fact that Bomer's played a lot of these pre-season games, I feel that they're going more towards Bomer. That's just how it came across to me.
Well, the other thing you could say too is that again, like White, Hassel's best season was in the dark COVID era, so it's hard to really judge some of those games and some of that season. So
yeah, I mean, he's had injuries as well, which have kept him out, obviously, and then even this pre-season, he's had a knock that kept him out for a couple of the games.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree with Axel. Like, the consistency from all the keepers hasn't been there, but in part that is because a lot of them haven't been able to get a decent run in the team because of all the injuries and the comings and goings and stuff. So it's hard to get that, and maybe some games in WFC2 for these guys is going to help them out. But there's a lot of competitions as well, and you would think Takaoka, with his experience, is going to be the Champions League keeper as well, which might free up the odd MLS game around the Champions League games where you're going to see a Hassal or a Bomer coming in. But when they let Bomer go at one point at the end of his deal, and then they brought him back in, and when they let him go, I was like, no, I'm fine with that. From what I've seen from him, I don't know that he's an MLS quality. But then since that seemed to just not so much give him the kick up the ass, but it just seemed to light a fire in him. And since then, the improvement I've seen from Isaac, month upon month, and the performances that he's put in with WFC2 stuff I've seen from him at training, I could see that he has maybe overtaken Thomas Hassal a little bit. And it's not necessarily all Thomas's fault, because you've got the fact that he wasn't playing and you're coming back from a concussion, and does that play in your mind a little bit and stuff as well? But yeah.
Well, the other thing is that competition is good, especially with keepers. We've seen that in the past, the Whitecaps, is that sometimes giving someone something to strive for, it's certainly probably not what Thomas Hassal wants to hear, but it might be what's best for the club.
So Takaoka becomes the fourth Japanese player in the Whitecaps MLS era, the first Japanese goalkeeper, of course. So there's been three other Japanese players. Who can name them?
Kudo, Kobayashi, and I can't remember the third. Kudo, Kobayashi.
Zach and light a light there.
Wait, does June DeMarcus Davison count?
He does. That's the third guy.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. I mean,
obviously
Masato Kudo RIP, but...
Yeah, because Jun was dual American-Japanese, right?
Yeah, so he's counting as that. So that is the four. And, I mean, I've seen the impact that the Japanese players have had in Celtic since coming into them, they have just lit up the Scottish Premiership. And I mean, Takaoka, if he does well, he's obviously, like, Kuro got a lot of attention over here from the Japanese press. So it's going to raise the awareness of the club over there. And I mean, who knows? We saw some exciting players in the World Cup from Japan. If it means some more come over this way instead of heading to Glasgow, I'll gladly take them.
Yeah, I mean, the Japanese obviously had a massive impact, or having a massive impact in the Bundesliga, which was then displayed, at the World Cup, in particularly against Germany and then also against Spain.
It feels like a golden age actually for Japanese players right now.
It does feel like a pretty good spell. I mean, obviously he's a keeper, so it's a little bit different, but still, he has an opportunity to make his mark, and like you said, further impression of the Japanese player and Japanese league in North America.
Yeah. So
he hasn't played for the national team though, right?
No, but he is hoping that this move will open doors for that. And hey, if he can help guide the Whitecaps into the playoffs, have some clean sheets, who knows what's going to happen. But wish him well. Kept his first clean sheet in Whitecap colours, as I mentioned earlier, in that 2-0 win over Minnesota. So that's a good start from him. It's just going to be a case of building up that communication with his back line. But so far, so good. So we're going to continue the Whitecaps chat as we hear a little bit from Sporting Director and General Manager Axel Schuster next, and we'll be back with that after this.
Hey, I'm Julian Gressel, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
She was long gone, long gone. She was gone, the bigger they come, the larger her hand, till no one understands why for so long she's been gone. Well, I stood very still by her windowsill, and I wanted for those I love still. I cried in my mind, I stand behind beauty grows in her eye. But she was long gone.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's the second of our three of a kind songs tonight. We kicked off part 2 with Syd Barrett's song Octopus. Kicking off part 3, it's the cover of a Syd Barrett song by Aberdeen band The Shaman before they went all dancey. The Shaman, of course, from their kind of Ebenezer Scrooge Boss Drum album that they brought out when they embraced the kind of techno sound. Before that, they were a guitar band, and I really, really love their early stuff. Their first couple of albums are absolutely tremendous. That is a song, though, taken from a 1987 compilation album called Beyond the Wildwood. It's a tribute to Syd Barrett, who wrote all the songs on the album. And that's the Shaman's version of his song, Long Gone. Another song that also appeared on his debut Madcap Laughs album. And to tell you someone that'll be having a lot of madcap laughs if the Whitecaps perform to the best of their ability and carry the pre-season form into the regular season, that's going to be Whitecaps Sporting Director and General Manager Axel Schuster. As mentioned in the last part, Axel had a chat with media on Friday afternoon just to look ahead to the season to come, some of what the club's been up to, and asked them a few other things as well. So go stick the kettle on, grab your biscuit of choice, sit back and enjoy our chat with Axel S. So we're a week out to the start of the new season. How ready do you feel this squad is for the season to come? Because you look at some of the other teams around the West, especially some of those that didn't make the playoffs last season, and they've gone out, they've made some big acquisitions. You know that they want to get back into the playoff positions. How do you see the Whitecaps as being ready for this season?
I think we are very well prepared. We are very ready to start into the season. We are following here all games and watching all the other MLS teams. Sometimes hard to really compare the performances because teams are playing different lineups. Teams starting with the second lineup, other teams are playing more the first lineup. But overall, I would say we are competitive, we are ready, we're not different than the other teams. And it is how MLS is, that it is a very balanced league where I think every team goes into the season and wants to finish in the playoff spot. So we have to fight for that. But we're also pretty confident that we can continue where we have ended last season. And everyone knows that for the last 26 games, we have been the second best team in the Western Conference. We have been on a very good run at the end of the season when we had all the players together and ready that we have signed last year. So we want to continue at that point. We want to continue with that performance, and we want to be even better with the new signings. So I'm pretty confident that we're very ready and we're much better prepared than we have been last year.
You haven't been the busiest club this off-season. There's been a couple of key additions. Are you expecting to add more? Is there any other additions you're expecting before the window does close in a few months?
I would say you never know, but we wanted to get our work done before the season starts. I'm pretty confident that we get our work completely done before the season starts, and then it would only other changes will only come if also a player leaves us. I think that our group is pretty strong. I think that we have been busy, maybe not one of the most busiest teams, but we have also done some signings late in last season, and we have added some players in mid-season last year that also had on. And that also will only be fully ready now. Like, for example, Alessandro Schöpf, who came in last year late and was not on the highest competitive level at that time because he had no training before. So overall, I think we have been very busy for the last 12 months. And with that, I think we are now in a place where we feel very comfortable with the group that we have here. And we would only change something on the signing side, or we would change something in our approach if somebody would leave. But there's no one who has requested to leave right now.
What are you expecting from the West this season? Because obviously it was very competitive last season. It looks like it could be even more competitive, really going down to the wire. Obviously, we don't know what the playoff situation's looking like quite yet, but it does feel like it's going to be a battle. And even some of the teams that were really down the bottom last year look like they're in the mix this year.
Yeah. At the end, this is the nature of the Western Conference. We have really put the focus on following a lot of teams. I have watched here a lot of teams. I would say it's a very balanced group. Teams that have not made the playoffs are looking better than they have looked last year. Teams that have made the playoffs last year are still looking pretty strong. I've seen LAFC, and I have to say I saw their game against Toronto, and I would say they are ahead of the rest of the group. But other than that, I would say everyone is probably fighting somehow with the same weapons and with the same competitive level, and then it's really about being better prepared, working better as a group. Something that we anyway want to do. We want to be as a group stronger than 11 individual players, and we have focused on that. For that reason, we also wanted to have our players in and with the group early to work on that, because we want to be as a collective a team that nobody likes to play, and that's really hard to beat, and that's what I expect also from our group.
The Apple TV deal. We know it's a good long-term deal for the league, and I've had a look around the app, and it's some great stuff on there. We talked about this when it was first announced, but how do you grow this club? How do you get the bums on seats for your home games? Because a number of people won't be able to see the games. 14 games are going to be on TSN. So that's like 41% of your season. 6 of those are home games. You've got the great deal with Telus, but on Telus TV, fans aren't going to be able to see a lot of this team. How do you generate the excitement for this team? How do you sell tickets? How do you fill the stands?
The easiest way is to be successful, to win games, and to do great stuff on the pitch, and as a club also off the pitch. At the end, you have to bring a product onto the pitch that it's so good that nobody wants to miss it, that everyone wants to be a part of it and wants to be in the stadium. I think that's how it works everywhere in the world. Obviously, we also want to continue to do great stuff off the pitch, and we want to champion the good. We want to have an impact in our communities, in our city, in our province. And for that, actually, Telus is a great partner, because they are aligned on all those aims that we have on that side. We want to continue to support groups that have challenges, and having our theme nights to make people aware about things that are going on, and connect with additional and new groups, communities. But again, the first and foremost, most important thing is to get out of the gates in a good way, and to create also some hope and belief in our supportership that we will compete for something this year. And we have seen last year, when we played the Canadian Championship final, for example, or when we went onto the last few games and people started to believe again that we can go into the playoffs, that people show up in the stadium. So the biggest driver will be success and belief.
Do you think it'll actually help with ticket sales if these home games aren't going to be on TV?
Yeah. First of all, they are still somewhere, so you can still see them. And I know it is a change for a lot of people, and we are here to support people if they need help to understand how they can follow our games and how they can see our games. Change is always coming with some challenges, but on the other side, the league has also done this change to grow as a league, to get more attraction, to be in a better position, and to get to a point where we can compete with better competitions in the world. And other leagues have done it before us, and it's also a normal process. So I think that it will help, not only because you cannot see it on TV, because also this partner is very well known to marketing a product and to present a product and to help the league also on that side. And at the end, the most important thing, we have to create more vibe around our games. We have to use also this 4 years now to the World Cup with this big attraction, or this big thing that everyone is looking at in North America on this World Cup that is coming. We have to use this momentum to increase the followership, to increase that interest into the league, and then automatically numbers will go up.
I asked Vanni this last week, and I know you can't talk publicly about what the new MLS playoff format's going to be, but I asked Vanni for his thoughts on this. I'll get yours as well. In an ideal world, if you were setting the playoff structure for MLS, what would you like it to be?
Look, there are so many very smart people thinking about that, that I think that they will get to a perfect solution. Also, the league has experimented with playoff formats in the past. I haven't been here, so I don't have that experience. I know that a lot of people that are working on it had this experience, so they know already what has looked good or not. The one thing I would really hope for is that every club in has a home game somehow, because I think that would be a great thing for the league if the number of clubs that have a home game will be doubled by giving everyone a home game, so with a home and away game, because that gives a more buzz and more attraction into the markets of the teams that are on the playoffs. So if you play a playoff one out playoff game on the road, it doesn't mean a lot for the people in your market. It still means something, but it is different if you have a home game. If you have the one game and people can come to the stadium and support their team, and you have the messaging around a home game. So that would be the one thing I really would hope for. Everything else, I really better focus on my work and let others do this work that I know more and better about it.
So Axel, like Vanni there, feeling that the team is very well prepared, very ready for the new season to come. And I feel I have to agree with him. So a couple of other little things that we talked about with Axel there. One of them, I want to gauge your guys' opinions on this, because I had a interesting discussion with someone, and I ran this past the guys on my East 5 podcast today as well to get their thoughts as well. So I mentioned to Axel there about, is he concerned about getting bums on seats, filling the stadium when the games aren't on TSN? So is it going to be a hard sell for the team? Or, as Axel says, will success take care of itself? And if they're getting the results where the fans turn up? It was announced this week of TSN schedules. They're showing basically one game a week. 14 of the Whitecaps' 34 games will be on TSN for people to watch. 6 of them are home games. The first 2 that they're showing were free anyway on the Apple TV app. I mean, like, well, season ticket holder, you're getting the MLS app. I've got it as well. Zach, I know you're not getting it because you'll watch the highlights and stuff, and you'll watch as much as you can, and we'll still see if I can sort out something for you. But do you feel it's going to hit the attendance by people not seeing the product? Hate that word, but have to use it on a weekly basis?
I think overall, long term, I think it is. I one of the things that I think has hurt the Premier League, the Canadian Premier League, is that it was a subscription service. And while I know that subscription services are taking off and old school cable is going down in popularity, there still are a lot of people watching local broadcasting. And I think also then, Apple TV Plus, we're also talking about an add-on to the regular service. So even if you have Apple TV Plus, you have to get this extra service on top of it, or this extra subscription. So
yeah.
I think
it's basically
not
it's
a great
8 hot
idea.
chocolates at Faubourg Bakery.
Yeah.
I have to choose.
But I mean, but it's not necessarily the Whitecaps' decision, right? So
No.
it's a league-wide decision. So I think this might be for the betterment long term of the league, but I think there's definitely for the greater good. But I think for the Whitecaps, it could be a middle to long term problem unless things really shift towards Apple TV and subscription services.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point, and I think it can create more of an uphill battle than they faced in the past. However, to be fair to the Whitecaps and to reflect on, in particular, the year 2022, they did. There's a lot of good things that they did when it came to getting people into the stadium, and this is just one example. And I know it's a special one, but we applauded them at the time. I'll applaud them again now. If they can continue to work like they did for the Voyageurs Cup finale, where and I know they did special things and giveaways and special options, or if your name is this, you can get a ticket for that or whatever. But they worked so hard at that to make that successful, to get people in the ground. And if they can translate that kind of form over a larger part of the season, I think they can overcome the potential deficit that not being on TV every week might create for them. So yes, I mean, it's a wait and see, but I think it's within their realm of capability to overcome this hole that they could be put in by this new, the new streaming thing. So the ball's kind of in their court. They have a new challenge. They've shown in the past that they can rise to that. And so I hope for their sake that they can.
I was going to say, like, for this coming game against RSL, the season opener, one of the youth groups that's attending, one of the local youth clubs, they've sold 1,700 tickets for it, which is incredible.
Well, again, I think they're pushing that hard because, again, competition makes you work harder. right? And we know that Vancouver.
Yeah, maybe this is what they've needed this whole time.
Exactly. Well, there's another analogy that I won't use this time. I'll save it for a different conversation. But yeah, when you have a monopoly, essentially, it sometimes can breed laziness or it can make you stagnate as an organization or your creativity or whatever. And on some levels, they have suffered from that. And I think, I know, Will, I remember you were, I think, a part of this conversation, listening to Axel Schuster, talking with some supporters, talking about how he won't stand for that. And there were things that when he came in that were not at the level they needed to be, and he was going to do everything he could to push them on. And I think we saw some of that last year. I think you're going to see some more of that now, because it's not, you can't work for the Whitecaps in their front office and to be status quo. You have to work harder. You have to be more creative. You have to find ways to get people into the ground, to get people engaged, to buy season tickets, to buy match packs, and all that kind of stuff. And so far, I think they're showing that that they're up for the challenge.
Yeah. The example that often sticks in my mind, and I know it's a different sport and it's a different situation, and the Whitecaps would never get this kind of publicity, but it's the Toronto Blue Jays, owned by Rogers. Year after year, Rogers pumped that broadcasting, like all the time it was on TV. The game in 30 minutes. So they'd have the recaps. They re-show the games. It was just on and on and on. And I heard from people that it was just, well, it was always on. I would turn on the TV and the game would be on. And, I can watch a game in 30 minutes. I'll do that. So I think there's some of that. This is sort of like osmosis that just kind of, and then slowly you get into it, and they're always talking about it on the broadcast, and there's always special additional programming that's on as well. And they do that with the Canucks, also Sportsnet. So I think some of that, I know you need a bit of the audience, but also Sportsnet will just pump that stuff because they put so much into the Blue Jays or to the hockey deal. So I think some of that does create this, now the Blue Jays are talked about Canada's team. Well, they're not my team. I'm from Vancouver. The closest team here is the Mariners. So, I mean...
Yeah, and that's why I'm a San Francisco Giants fan.
There you go.
Excellent, Michael. Excellent. Will, you don't like a team from Seattle, do you?
Well, they play a different sport.
Will.
But
before we kick you off, what's your NFL team?
San Francisco 49ers,
There
actually.
we go. That's fine. He's staying on the show. It's all right. I was a bit worried there. That was setting up to I said I'd had a bit of a discussion with someone this week over the fact and the question, can you say that with this Apple deal, the MLS games are still on television? Because I say no, apart from the ones that's been shown on TSN. And the argument that was put to me was that's the old-fashioned way of looking at it, because the vast majority of people have smart TVs, so you've got your streaming apps on TV. So instead of paying for cable, you're paying for a streaming app, so you're still watching it on your television.
I'll just quickly say, I think this is something that you can slice either way. So you can argue it is, or you can argue it isn't. And to me, it's not that big of a deal. Like I said before, I think you have to work harder to bring new people in, and that's the challenge. And we'll see how that goes.
Because I basically said because the games aren't on TV anymore. That was kind of where it all came from.
I think I can guess who you had this discussion with.
The other thing I'll say about all of this is the meaning of that doesn't mean what it used to. Yeah. When TV was broadcast, when TELUS or Rogers or Shaw were all showing basically the same channels. And so it didn't matter which one you owned. Whereas now it's split 12 different ways. And we're actually seeing that we're probably, this is just my prediction. I'm on a tech show. So I play this on TV. I'm on a streaming show as well called Momentous. And we talk about this where I think some of this is going to have to concentrate, right? Like we're already seeing some of Netflix, subscribers go down, and some of the ways that they're judging revenues aren't as successful as that they'd hoped. I mean, and this is part of the problem is ever expanding is difficult. And part of this Apple deal is trying to find more eyeballs to get onto their service, right? So,
and they've certainly done that. I mean,
yeah,
I think Apple do a great job, and I have looked at the app. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it yet, Will, but it's excellent, and the stuff that they're going to be doing. All the clubs are basically content providers now. They're coming up with documentaries, they're coming up with series, and I mean, it won't be long before every club, I'm sure, has a kind of Sunderland till I die, Wrexham, Class of 92 style kind of behind the scenes thing. So,
oh man, could I get a Seattle till I die? I mean, or a Sounders till I die? I mean, I just have to say, as a Newcastle supporter, that is the biggest Schadenfreude show that you've ever seen. If you're a Newcastle, like all Newcastle supporters watch that show, it's like, yes, they're going to go down. In second
they're a
season.
Shambles.
They're a shambles. This is awesome.
So we know this is already a long show. We were going to do our MLS predictions on this episode as well, have a look at where we thought everyone would finish in the West, where the Whitecaps might finish, very quick look at the East and MLS Cup winners. But you know what? I think I'm going to save that for another episode. So I think we're going to bring 2 shows out this week, and we'll bring that one out maybe Thursday night as well, just for your listening pleasure, a couple of days before the season gets underway. But there is one big thing that I still want to talk about that happened this past week, and it's one of my favourite times of the year. It's when all the new kits get revealed. They were revealed last week. We're going to pick over the best and the worst of those after this.
Hi, I'm Simon Betcher, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
There's a little man in a little house with a little pet dog and a little pet mouse. I know where he lives and I visit him in a little hut in Cambridge. I know where he lives. Cause I know where Sid Barrett lives. He was very famous once upon a time. No one knows, even if it's alive. But I know where he lives, and I visit him. We have Sunday tea, sausages and beans, jelly and ice cream. I know where he lives. Cause I know where Sid Barrett lives.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's the third and final song from our three of a kind this week. Did you guess what the link was? Yes, of course, the link was Sid Barrett. Since the song to kick off part 2 was by Sid Barrett, and the song to kick off part 3 was a cover of a Sid Barrett song. Kicking off this part, it's our Artist of the Month here at AFTN for the month of February. From London, England, television personalities, a song from their 1981 debut album, and don't the kids just love it? Also was their third single, and that was I Know Where Sid Barrett Lives. Now, folk have often said to me, and I've been waiting for Steve to come on the show to talk about this, and I don't know when Steve's coming back on, so we'll talk about it now. But folk have said, oh, why do you always pick weird songs or artists that we've never heard of? Well, for one thing, I like them all, and I think the music's good, but also it helps because we don't get episodes taken down from Spotify, because I haven't told Zach this either. We got 12 episodes taken down from Spotify a couple of weeks ago because of our musical choices in it. And apart from me playing Lil Yachty's Minnesota, which I will not be playing again to save episodes getting taken down, Every other song that was taken down was a selection of Steve's.
Well, because they're like, why were they taking them? Because we were using without.
It was the record company, the label that they're on, seemed to not want their stuff up there. So it's all songs that he'd picked from like superhero movies and stuff. So they were part of the 12 that was taken down. There was a couple of Christmas ones that were taken down as well, like Mariah Carey and stuff that folk had picked as their favourite Christmas song. Right. So we'll have to watch for that going forward. So if you're on Spotify and you wonder where a particular episode's gone, that's why. They're up everywhere else. It's totally fine. I don't care. But yeah, it helps when you're playing bands that most folk haven't heard of, or they're really small bands, or bands that you're talking to like Weird and stuff, and they're totally fine with us playing their stuff. And our good friend Mr. K as well. So with the new MLS season just days away, it's obviously a lot of news flying around. Other bit of news that came out this week from a Whitecaps point of view and a league point of view was it was New Jersey Week, and I don't mean the place in the US. New kit, new football shirt week. Obviously the Whitecaps revealed their one. It's the new Bloodlines jersey, which it's just a shame that Steve's not on the show to chat about Bloodline and WWE and Roman Reigns and the Usos and everything like that. We're going to talk about the jerseys to round off this Whitecaps and other ones. What I would say is the Whitecaps jersey and what's behind it to raise awareness of Canadian blood services, that's all fantastic. But when I'm judging the jerseys, I'm judging them from an aesthetic point of view and not the meaning behind the jersey. I don't care if the jersey is saving pygmy hippos in Papua New Guinea. It's how it looks to me. And it feels like just the days of, here's our new kit, that's long gone. So, we'll talk about the Whitecaps jersey, but before we get to that, let's talk about the new sponsor. Officially, TELUS, we kind of brainstormed and came up with that a few weeks back on the show, Zach, but I think it's a good mix. It's a 5-year deal. I think it's a good company to have on board. The name, I feel, looks a little weird on the jerseys, though. It's just a plain letter, and I thought they would have had the little squiggle or something as well.
Yeah, I wonder how this works with the timeline, because we know they have to get these things done like well in advance. This is not something that supposedly can be done really quickly, or maybe that's why it is so plain and simple, because they had to get done really quickly. It would be interesting to find out the details behind that, Michael, if you can at some point. But yeah, it is kind of shocking or jarring just to see, partly because it is a major competitor to Bell, and whatever you think of Bell and what they've done as an organization or whatever, Michael's putting his thumbs down. I feel like the Bell simplistic logo made the Whitecaps jerseys look really clean, and like it was, to me, it was, again, outside of who Bell are and what they've done and whatever, I thought it was a good fit. It was a really good jersey sponsor for them. TELUS, yeah, it doesn't look quite right. The biggest thing for me though with this jersey launch, that just I don't maybe you guys can push back on this or help me in my, maybe if I have a wrong perspective on this. I'm just shocked at how many people are like, how can there be red on a Whitecaps kit when they've been doing these retro kits for a while now?
They had red numbers.
Red numbers, all of them, red stuff all over them. They're like, red is not a Whitecaps color. It can't be there. It's like all these people don't know the history of the Whitecaps who used to have a full red kit.
Yeah, the red part of it is like it's like not a problem to me. There's some other things I don't like on it. We'll get Will's take though. I mean, Will, bell ends, TELUS begins.
Well, tell us how much you suck is going to be the chant, I think, from the opposing supporters. But no, I don't mind TELUS as a sponsor, and I think they're got a better reputation than Bell in some ways. If you're going to do,
well, I'm with TELUS, and they just cut $90 off my bill when I complained in a very angry Scottish voice after getting pissed about with their customer service. So I'm all for them. That's my tip. If you want to get money off your bill, just be really angry Scottish with them, and you get money off.
Were you angry, like legitimately?
I was legitimately angry because...
did you have a reason to be legitimately angry?
Oh, yeah. Because I'd spoken to someone, I'd got a deal, it came through, it wasn't what he had said, he'd added something on that he hadn't mentioned, he indicated it was free and it wasn't. And I was in a queue for over an hour to get back to speak to them, and was passed around various people. So by the time that I got through to somebody, I was raging.
Yeah.
Anyway, that aside.
Well, can I get you to call my communications company?
Yeah. Could be a little
hopefully
sideline.
Hopefully they're better as sponsors then. No, I think for me, obviously, the red is a bit jarring to people, but I agree with you. If you know the DNA of the club, that's part of the identity. They released a kit a few years ago that was white and red. They released a hoodie as part of that line. So, that's in there. That's part of the DNA. Unfortunately, if you go way back, they started off as a Sunderland summer team. So I tried to forget about
back
that.
in 67 as the Royals. That wasn't the Whitecaps, though. That was the Royals.
Yeah, that was the Royals.
I mean, 74, their first jersey was an all-red jersey.
That was your buddy was there, Will, right? The coach?
Bobby Robson.
Bobby Robson.
Bobby, yeah, Bobby. The good Bobby.
Yeah.
The good Bobby. The Bobby. But he just would have had his 90th birthday recently. But yeah,
I should probably clarify that comment. Bobby is a slang for penis in Scotland. I'll just.
Oh, okay.
I should clarify that before Nathan's on the phone going, did you just call? No, I didn't.
Bobby. Not Bobby. Bobby Baba or whatever. Hey, my name is Willie. I can say whatever I want.
True. I think we've lost Zach now. It's one of those things that came out of my mouth and I thought I should clarify that.
That's like almost everything you say.
Yeah.
He's not coming on the show. It's fine.
The other thing about the Talus, I think the way it's on the jersey is that it's all caps. Bell was not. I think
the
it
all
takes up more
caps, I
space.
think, makes it look a bit weird.
It looks a bit yelly, right?
It looks a
And
bit
it also
childlike,
takes up-
like someone's just stenciled on Telus.
Yes. And that's
Which, to be
where
fair,
you
they
hear
probably
people
have.
saying this looks like anyone can do, because it just sort of fills up and it doesn't look like a logo as a result. And I think the T would have helped making it as you said, the curly Q T, and making it a little smaller, because otherwise it just sort of looks like tell us, and it doesn't look like a logo. It looks like you're trying to communicate. So tell us what are you trying to tell us?
That's true, actually. I mean, like,
so
here's the
that's
official
where I
blurb.
think-
The jersey features a touch of red that symbolises both the club's Canadian pride and origins, with the original 1974 red logo featured as a jock tag. Bloodlines are the thread that connect generations of Whitecaps fans under a common banner of the beautiful game, supporting Canada's most history-laden club. The 5 stripes on the front of the jersey represent 5 decades of history as the club enters its 50th anniversary in 2024. Which obviously will be all over on AFTN because I love the history side of things. Now, I've got to say, I'm not a huge fan of the jersey. I think there's a bit too much going on. And like the red, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't like, as we've just talked about, how the word Telus looks. I couldn't click why. But you mentioned the all caps. That's it. That's exactly why. And I hadn't in my head formulated why I hated that so much. But that is why. I don't like the thin 5 stripes. That's just me. I'm not a big fan of that on kits in general. But what I really don't like are the seams down the side. They just look horrible. It's just like they've been sewn together in a little sweatshop by somebody and they ran out of the material and they had to put that binding down the side.
Yeah, that is a good point. That is odd. It's a bit like a sore thumb. I think the Telus logo was the biggest problem for me, and hopefully they fix that in future seasons. I think we're stuck with it like it is now for this season.
Yeah.
As Zach said, it takes time to produce these things. The other thing that I'll say is, I know you said not to mention it, but the marketing was pretty bad. The bloodline stuff. And I know that's, for me, the most jarring thing about all of it is I actually don't mind the jersey that much, but it's just the marketing is so bad. And I want to say, as you said, excellent social cause. I have a family member who recently was ill and had multiple transfusions. It helped save their life. Absolutely good cause. But 2 + 2 = 4, not 22. You can't go from this is a jersey with red in it to give to the blood services. I just kind of feel like that's too much of a leap. You're trying to wrap too much stuff into it. And please support your local blood bank, support the Canadian Blood Services, but that has nothing to do with the Whitecaps. Okay, it just doesn't.
Well, let's just wait
as
until some
much
of our central
try to do it.
defenders crack their head open and they're all bandaged up with the blood coming off it. That'll be the iconic image that we can have on the Bloodline shirt.
Look, I love the Whitecaps, but stop it. Please stop it. The Unity kit with the Ironworkers, again, Ironworkers absolutely have done a great job. That was a horrible tragedy that happened. Please don't bring that into soccer.
Yeah.
You know, like raindrops. Leave the raindrops alone. They're not raindrops, they're triangles. Like, stop
I think we've
trying to
triggered well
make
here.
this bigger than it is. So it does trigger me because I feel like, why are we always trying to put all the marketing, all the campaign, all the media into a jersey and try to tell a story that's going to connect everything and get bums and seats? It just feels like too much. You know, I like the stuff about the generations. I like the stuff about how you have the light blue lines from the 2011 jersey. You have the red, Canada, the original jersey. You know, you have the hoop or the bar, as Zach would say. You have all of that, all of the DNA put together. Why bring in the Canadian Blood Service? It just seems like you're stretching it too thin. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox, but that's my thing about the marketing. It drives me crazy.
I agree. It does similar to the Ironworkers. It just feels like they have to have some kind of social cause to make themselves look good, and they don't feel super connected to who the club is. And there just seems like it's a good cause. It's a great cause, as Will said, and I agree. And I've had people who have had to deal with have these things in their lives, and they're grateful for them, whatever, transfusions and stuff. But it doesn't feel genuine.
Oh, but they're not alone. I mean, if you look around the league, which we will in a sec, like FC Dallas have little flames all over their new jersey for burn victims or victims of Darren Matic's cooking.
Wait, a club that used to be called the Dallas Burn is connecting with burn victims now?
No, that was my joke. It is for
okay.
Dallas Burn.
They haven't put on any images of the blue kit with the Tellus yet, right?
Oh no, I haven't seen that. No.
No, okay. I assume that they're keeping the other kit at the blue.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
And to be fair, again, I understand what the Whitecaps are doing, and they're my childhood club, and I love them. But I think what drives me a little bit crazy about the MLS in general, and maybe this is a bit of an edict from the league or from Adidas, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe, Michael, you have more insight on this. But in Europe, in the UK, and in Newcastle, this is the jersey.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's going to have stripes on it. The stripes are a bit wonky this year, or they're a bit thicker than they were the year
There's
before.
No stories behind it.
Buy it.
I love.
There's no stories.
TSS's kit reveal in 2017 or 18 was my favourite because it was just like they did a spoof thing, and it's like the shirt is red because that's the colour we play in. It's just you just need stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's just I don't need a story,
It isn't just the Whitecaps, though, that's released kits this year. So I don't know, Zach, if you had a chance to look through them all.
I've seen some of them.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some of our favourites and least favourites from around the league. Before we get into that, though, before the show, I got Caitlin to sit down and look through the 28 or 29 strips. Did this last year as well, for her to pick the ones that she liked. We have very different opinions as to what is a nice football shirt and what isn't. But I really wish I had recorded it because I wrote down some of her comments. That's horrible. Oh, what is that? That's just orange. That's just yellow. And my particular favourite, What the hell's that, St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis.
So I've got to say, I think it's on the whole a pretty good range of kits that's come out this year, maybe better than some others. I narrowed down my top 5, and I'm going to be curious to see what you guys thought as your top ones. You don't have to do a top 5, you can just give some of your favourites. I'm going to give mine
a top 5.
Okay, I'm going to give mine to start with, my 5 to 1. And I'll say now, the Whitecaps did not make my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make my bottom 5, but they were a lot closer to making the bottom 5 than they were to making the top 5. And Zach probably also will not like the fact that I have 2 shirts in this top 5. And the number 5 shirt, who doesn't like a bit of plaid, especially if you're Scottish? A kind of tartan design, the Portland Timbers.
That's a good one.
I like it, and I think it really plays into their supporters base, because there's always been a lot of kind of plaid, lumberjacks, tartan thing. I just think it's a beautiful kit. My 4th favourite is, and this one I had higher initially, and then I was thinking about it and I put it down. I like Charlotte's 2023 Crown Jewel kit. I mean, you've got to protect your crown jewels at all costs. That's why they cover them when they're taking free kicks in the wall. But I love the colour. I think the I'm going to call it purple and aquamarine. I don't know what they've called it themselves. But, I mean, the click kit is really nice. I think it pops. I think it's a really nice colour scheme. For me, number 3 was FC Cincinnati. And I went back and forth as to whether I preferred Charlotte's or Cincinnati. I like that design that is over it. The Cincinnati one, it's called the River Kit. And again, I'm not going into all the reasons for it. It's got a nice picture of a bridge on it. It's a nice kind of colour scheme. The orange and the blue, for me, I just think really pop. I think that's a very nice kit as well. My second favourite kit, DC United's Cherry Blossom kit. And I think it's because I really like cherry blossoms. But I think this is a very unusual kit. You don't see a lot of stuff like this. It's not really a design I've seen a lot of before. I think it works really well. And my number 1 kit, the Bruce Lee Dragon kit of Seattle Sounders.
Is that Seattle's new RSL kit?
Yes. I just think I like Dragon kits. Yeah. When JJ had tweeted the leak of it before, I tweeted out a kit that I've got for Newport Corinthians, who play in the Gwent Premier League. And they've got a red Dragon kit as well, which is nicer than the Seattle kit. It's also sponsored by Goldie Luke and Shane. So, friends of the show. Anyway, that's my top 5. Let's go to Will next.
Wait, can I just give you one?
Okay.
I've just looked. Am I wrong? Like, it's hard to. I mean, I like their logo. I think they've done a lot of things good. They've even dismissed some people or disassociated themselves with some people who are, probably the good that they did. But what is that Austin kit?
That is my. That is in my worst kit selection. It's in my top 5.
I can't even look at it. It's so jarring.
It gives you a headache.
Yeah. It's so horrible. Okay, well, you can go ahead. Sorry, just that one just stands out as being so bad.
Yeah, I think I have that as my. Yeah, I've got that as my 3rd worst. But yeah.
Well, let me just say, the Austin kit was very close to me on the worst list, but I think there's an overwhelmingly number of bad kits this year. More bad than good.
Yeah, see, that's interesting because Caitlin agrees with you. She did not like these kits at all, whereas I was like, oh, I think I like more than I don't like.
Yeah, there's just so many bad ones, but I will talk about the ones that I like. And you actually mentioned a bunch of them, but there are a few that I have that you didn't, Michael. So number 5 with a bullet is the Crown Charlotte kit. I actually like the color combination, and I think, I'm not normally big for busyness, but the crowns are actually quite subtle. Mm-hmm. They don't jump out like, say, the Dallas Burn kit. Hint, hint, that might appear on one of my other lists.
Yeah.
The Real Salt Lake kit. I know it's one of the simple kits, but I actually kind of like simplicity. So
yeah, I didn't mind that one either. It wasn't really troubling my top 5, but that was the one that Caitlin looked at and went, "It's just yellow."
yeah, it's just yellow. It's a lot of yellow. I saw a list where this was actually down at the bottom, but I like the New England kit. It's kind of a play on the slash or sash.
That was one of Caitlin's favourites as well. I think you and her are certainly more aligned than me and her.
Caitlin has good taste.
Well, she married me, so I mean that's questionable.
And I kind of like Inter Miami's kit. That's my number 2 kit.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I had that on my list originally, and I ended up putting it 6th.
And number 1, nobody's mentioned it. I like the Columbus kit.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's on mine.
Yeah, so it definitely jumps out as for me. It's one of those ones that is a bit of the pattern, but a bit wonky, as I say about the Newcastle stripes. It's like, how can you do a bit of a spin on a tradition? And I kind of like what they did there. And I think, it's a little bit less the taxi cab and a little bit more, got more movement. And again, the yellow pops on the black. So
I like a black kit. I had that was 7th on my list. And then I had Nashville as 8th. I liked the black Nashville kit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, black and yellow, black and gold. That's these 5 colours, so it's like I quite like that. But I do like a black kit, and I like the design of that Columbus kit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Any particular favourites for you, Zach?
I agree with you guys on a few here. Let me just run down these real quick. Okay, can I give you one that you guys didn't mention? You guys can disagree with me. And I haven't seen all the pictures of it, but I don't mind the Impact.
I haven't seen that one. That wasn't on my MLS list.
Yeah, it's if what I'm looking at is the right image, and this might be a leaked one, so it might not be the official.
So the thing about the Impact, they didn't release a kit.
Yeah.
No, okay. There's a leaked image of one that I'm seeing online.
No, they had a problem. And they're not releasing a kit. They're only doing their away kit, and they're changing the logo.
Oh,
the crest. But
I'm seeing the leaked one that you're looking at now.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking on the footy headlines.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not a real kit. Okay, their away one from last year that's got all the marble or veins or whatever. I don't enjoy that.
So they're releasing.
I didn't mind it. I mean, if you've got the bell enders and you shouldn't have a veined kit, that's all I'll say.
Okay, so if Montreal's, I totally agree with you guys on the new Charlotte kit. I think that's really really nice. What's next? I agree with you on Columbus as well. I think that one's really good. Okay, I'll tell that on my bad list.
Naughty and nice.
You talked about this one. I don't know that I think it's horrible. The Dallas one that you're burning all. I don't. It's because of the history of their club. I think people are gonna like it there. So I don't love it, but I don't think it's horrible. I agree with you guys about DC United. I think that's quality. Where else? So in Miami, Inter Miami is good. There's a horrible one. That's a horrible one. That's a horrible one. Oh, someone said Nashville. I also like Nashville's clean and sharp.
What I like about the Nashville one, and I might have to buy this because I've spoken before, that a genre, if you want to call it a genre, of shirts that I collect are ones tied in music. And this is their Johnny Cash Man in Black shirt. So I think I am probably going to pick that up. I'll probably wait till 2 years till it's cheaping out of stock or something. But I like it because it's a very, it is just black, and like the crest is black and everything about it. It just, I just love that.
The New England Revolution baseball team, the one that you guys mentioned. I think if I hung out in the fort, I think I would like that as a new design. But otherwise, I don't think it's good.
Caitlin liked it was a kind of swirly thing. The red was swirly. That's what she.
Did you say a kind of swirly thing?
Yeah.
The Philadelphia is either great or horrible. I can't decide which. I totally agree with you guys on Portland. I think Portland is quality. My one question, yeah, okay, no, Alaska, yeah, Portland one, I think is really well done. Salt Lake, I think is, if you're from Salt Lake, you're probably gonna like it because it's a little bit different and it's simple but clean. I didn't hate San Jose either. Like
No.
It's I think, again, if you're a San Jose fan, I think it's something nice, a little bit different from what they've had before, and also like less jarring than the lines on their logo are, so a little bit nicer in that sense. Seattle does make some nice kits from time to time, and I don't like this one, but I can see why people will love it. I think that maybe one of the best makers of kits in the entire history of their time in MLS has to be Sporting Kansas City. I think that this is another quality one from them. And then I think we're just got horrible ones left. Oh yeah, that's horrible. And then, yeah, Vancouver for me would not be in the top this time.
No.
And they would not be in the top this time. They have made some of the best jerseys in MLS in their time. For sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, talking of clubs that's like that, Kansas City's one this year I just do not like, and I have given them so much credit over the years for having some of the best ever MLS kits.
Is it too simple for you, or
I don't like horizontal stripes. Well, actually, I don't like vertical stripes either, which is unfortunate because that's East Fife's traditional strip. But
yeah.
I don't know. There's something about it. I just don't like this. I've got it in my top 5 worst. I've got.
I like that it has a collar, a different kind of collar with a button, and yeah, I don't know.
I don't like either of St. Louis's kits.
Well, okay, I
really?
don't think I've seen. I don't think I've seen St. Louis's for some reason. Oh wait, no, yeah, they're horrible.
I just think Purina just seems like a weird sponsor. That's a weird reason to hate
Is that not
a
the
jersey.
cat food?
But
is that not the cat food?
Well, I think dog food, but it's both. Yeah.
Pet food. Yeah,
Pet
yeah.
food.
The red
Let's
one.
see if they're going to be a dog's dinner.
The red one is pretty awful, and the white one is not good either.
Oh, see, of the two, I think the white one's worse.
That's fair.
That was the one that Caitlin
really?
looked at, and then what the hell's that, St. Louis?
I mean, to be fair, the logo is pretty awful too. So,
yeah.
Yes.
You say logo, I say crest, but there we go.
Sorry, yeah. The badge, mate.
You've been here too. You've been here too long. Well, you were born here. You've been here too long, Zach.
I've been with you. I've been on this podcast.
Like on the planet or in Canada?
So I had 5th St. Louis away as worst, 4th Kansas City, 3rd Austin, because I do believe there's 2 worse than Austin's.
I know one of them. You're going to say for sure.
As Zach would call them, Dead Bull.
Yeah, that's good.
Caitlin looked at that and was like, what on earth is that? And I was like, I don't know.
It's like they're trying to make a tablecloth out of their
Well,
shit.
apparently it's down with the streetwear, so maybe I'm just too old. I'm not down with the kids.
Yeah, it's awful.
My least favourite, though, and I think the worst of the bunch.
Please do the one I'm thinking you were going to say.
Chicago.
Oh, no. That is horrible. That is horrible kit. That is a horrible, horrible kit. And it's made even worse. That one's like one of the ones where it's made even worse because there's no sponsor. Whereas a Colorado, okay, they don't have a sponsor, but it doesn't always look horrible.
Yeah, Caitlin liked the Colorado one. I didn't like it. I had them down near the worst ones as well.
I didn't mind them.
You didn't say the one that I thought was the worst. But okay, we'll do yours and I'll run down the ones I think are bad.
Sure. So number 5 is Dallas. It looks like a Windows screensaver from '95 or something with the flames.
Oh, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like it at all.
It's like they've just gone to a site that does like graphics and let's pick that for a flame.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too much. I didn't like Cincinnati. I'm not a big fan of that one. But I think really I dislike I don't know what Zach thinks about this, but the smoky, marbly things, I don't like them. Yeah. So LAFC and Red Bull are 3 and 2 at LAFC. And then number 1 with a bullet is Seattle. I just don't like it.
Oh, my
I don't like the Dragon.
Is your least favorite.
I really don't like it. And I didn't like when Inter did it. What was it, like 2010 or something? Inter Milan, not our MLS Inter, but Inter Milan. I didn't like that kit. I don't like this one. I just think it's a little bit too busy. It's a little bit. I just don't. It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah. Again, Michael, thanks for having Will on the show. I really appreciate it. Okay, so
You just like it because he's disagreeing with all my thoughts.
I think Austin is near the worst. I just want to go back to what I said about Colorado. Last year's Colorado that didn't have a sponsor looked good. Sorry, this year's Colorado, the new one, does not look good, and the UC Health sponsor looks awful as well. Jumping down, I agree with you on Chicago, and again, no sponsor is just like you look like you're looking at an incomplete kit, and it is awful, Michael. I agree with you on that. Again, Dallas, I don't think is horrendous. I can see that selling well for them. Neither of you said this one. It has some of their, I think, traditional colors or something. I read about this or whatever, but it is ugly in my opinion. And the color and the trim on the sleeves make it even worse. Is the new LA Galaxy kit is
Now
horrible.
I was going to talk about that because when we were going through it, I like the color of it first of all.
Boo!
But
it's their traditional color, but boo.
Yeah, when I was going through it, I was like, oh, they're paying tribute. I was like, oh, what's that? What African country has that flag again? And then it turns out it's the LA city flag. But Caitlin as well, she said, oh, is that an African tribal jersey? And I was like, apparently not, no. But it does look like it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. But yeah.
When they rebranded, as an organization, I think they took a step in the right direction. And their other kit is with the stars on it is more, I think, who they are and who they should be. And this is a taste of the past when they used to have an ugly logo, although they kept the new logo, and the color is just not. No, I don't like. And then I agree. LA has a derby this year of who has the worst kit, because I think the smoke kit is not as worse, but it's not great. But I think it actually might sell well for them. So the league might be happy about that. I think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when it comes to the LA Galaxy kit, it's a little bit sort of like also the Atlanta United kit for me. I really like the Atlanta United kit, but I've basically seen it over and over again. So I can't really give it a vote. And it's sort of a bit with LA. It's like, I understand that's their traditional kit and it's not for me, but I just let it go, like Elsa. So it's I agree with you. It's ugly, but they did it knowing it was ugly. So it's sort of like that's just their traditional thing, and in some ways I can accept that in some weird way. But it would be on my list of ugly kits.
The next one for me is Minnesota. I don't know what they usually have beautiful kits. The black one is great. This one is horrendous to me.
Do you know the one that nobody's mentioned that I think is secretly ugly?
I'm not done going through. Let me go real quick before I might hit your other ones. Does anyone know what's up with that Minnesota kit?
Well, it's apparently the Northern Lights, but to me, that's not what the Northern Lights look like. They're green. So I'm very confused.
Totally. Dead Bull is awful as well. The mock-up of Orlando, whatever. I don't like Orlando. Again, Philadelphia's either great or horrendous. I can't tell which. Where are we here?
Caitlin did like them in a short strip because she liked the colors, and she said, I like the little bird on it.
Okay, I got one more. Obviously, St. Louis both suck. I got one more that no one has said, and I read about this. And I can't believe, is this really true? Okay, you guys can tell me if you know about this. The other one that is really bad to me is Toronto FC.
Yeah,
that's the one I was going to mention.
Yeah,
that's the one I was going to say.
I can't decide what I think of it. I don't love it. It's nowhere near the top for me. But I can't decide if it's just a middle of the road one or if I just don't like it.
I thought I read somewhere that like people from like, I don't know, vocal minority or some other significant voice within their community had a role in designing it or something.
Well, I know there's folk in the vocal minority podcast that do a Kit Nerd podcast as well.
Okay, because it's really ugly. And this is a time too where some of the feedback I've seen on social media for it was like, hey, we're the Reds. This kit's not red enough for me. And I think that's a valid frustration. It looks like a secondary or tertiary kit.
I know I'm related to a TFC supporter, season ticket holder since the beginning.
Sympathy.
I know. They hate it. So and they said that most of the people they know hate it. So it does seem to be unpopular in the community.
I said about the Whitecaps kind of side stitching, and I don't like this bizarre CN Tower thing that they've got going down the side of it either. But Interesting variety of opinions there. Let us know your thoughts on both the Whitecaps kit and the kits around the league. Love to know what your favourites are as well. AFTN Canada on Twitter, aftncanada@hotmail.com. That is pretty much it for this show. It's another bumper show. We've still got time for this week's Wavelength. We've been talking about the beautiful game. I thought I'd bring a song called The Beautiful Game to Wavelength. It's by a band stroke artist called Jackdaw 4. He's also known as Willie Dowling. He's from London in England. And this is the theme song to a 2008 six-part mockumentary from the BBC called The Cup. And it's based around an under-11 football team and the parents and going to tournaments and championships and the stuff that happens with soccer parents. And it's a fun show. I watched it when it was out in 2008. Haven't watched it since. Really should dig it out. It's actually based on the Canadian show The Tournament, about ice hockey, minor hockey. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that show from the early 2000s. But it's a great song. It's a great show. Here is Jackdaw 4, The Beautiful Game.
Let's talk more noise, indiscriminate, stop those boots and roar. Like an army on the roam, far away from home, this is exactly what we come for. Why wait, push through, it's a pleasure when the cameras seal the deal. Make a short-term fix with an age-old enemy in the corner of a firing field. Let's make the next a black tie affair. Awards and speeches taking us there. The grand finale fills the air. Let's say the system ought to be blamed. One taste of glory, pride and shame. It's all a part of the beautiful game. For the wise or the wicked, the brass band takes the tune. If the dams get busted, then we'll make a great escape, but it always seems to end too soon. Make no mistake, we're here for the fame, dishonorable, and what's in a name? These flags of fortune are aflame. We'll stand and sing in song in the rain. Let's get this party started again, and life becomes a beautiful game.
Jackdaw 4, The Beautiful Game. It's what we love. It's what this show's all about. Thank you for being with us for this bumper show. Thank you to Will and Zach for staying. We're wrapping this up. It's fast approaching 1 a.m. at the time of recording this. Will, any final thoughts from you? Where can folk find you online? Anything that's caught your eye this week?
Well, actually happy that we're starting to see some stuff trickle out about the Whitecaps. I know people were waiting for the sponsor and the kit for a long time. Pleasantly surprised by what is reported with the season ticket package. So we just have to wait for them to get from A to S. And I'll report back on that more later. You can reach me online. I'm actually also part of a live stream weekly on technology called Momentous.tv. So www.momentous.tv. And check in on Tuesday nights and we have a live stream.
Is that where you do like DJing stuff too?
No, well, I talk about some DJ stuff there. But we often talk about technology and entertainment, and I often try to drag in music gear and that kind of stuff. But if you want to hear about the exciting world of NFTs and AI technology, those are often a couple of our big topics.
Is this with Tristan?
This is with my friend and best man at my wedding, Tristan Jutra, and our friend Tasia Custodi and Gray Williams.
Yeah, Tristan's a quality fellow.
Don't know if you listened to the show last week, Will, with all my AI poetry. It's a wonderful thing.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't love AI?
Yes.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter, occasionally tweeting at Zachary AM, part of supporters for the new Canadian Premier League side, Vancouver FC, out in Langley. If you want to be involved with that, fvfanatics at gmail.com.
They got a win this weekend.
Yeah, even with a dodgy lino.
Oh, who was on the line?
Do you know who's on the line, Will?
No.
Did you see?
Really? Was it Chris?
Was it Chris?
Yeah, it was Chris Harrop.
I had lunch with his father last week.
No wonder they won 2-0.
He called their third goal offside, and
really
the bench and the players were not having it.
Oh wow.
But no, yeah, if you want to be involved with that, it's been great to meet a bunch of new people and hang out with people I've known for years from the local supporter community, and things continue to roll with that. People have been first batch of people have been getting their season tickets, which was good. And I think if you haven't got one, I think there's going to be a new kind of a window opening up for people who want to get involved in that way, starting I think this week or very, very soon. Yeah. And again, Michael, thanks for having Will on the show. Miss Steve, miss Tahar, but it's great to have Will's voice with us.
So you can find our stuff online, aftn.ca. Follow us on Twitter, AFTN Canada, and check out our videos on YouTube. But we will be back soon with more fun and games. Thank you for staying with us for this 8-hour show. So until next time, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon, the Caps. Get that season off to a winning start.
When you're listening in some far-flung corner of the globe to the World Service of a Saturday afternoon, crackly reception, interference, cosy, marvellous. Somehow comforting, isn't it? You know, legendary names, fathers and sons on the terraces, cheesy peas at half-time, pint for dad, mum's at home making the tea. Oh, everything's all right with the world, isn't it? Saturday afternoon is football. Mm?
Yeah, but